Hello. This is Blueprint. Blueprint is something that I was working on for past 2 weeks, and it basically aims to bring everyday usability to Q Smalltalk. So, what is the motivation? Like, why am I doing this? I often saw that Smalltalk programmer can be extremely productive inside Smalltalk environment. Uh, and I really wanted to explore this topic, but in a sense with the code agents, because code agents are basically the software revolution that has happened or is happening. So I'm trying to see what code agents can do in Smalltalk, and if they can bring productivity to the mere mortals, uh, if we can match the Smalltalk programmer basically. So Blueprint is developed purely by code agent. This is directed by me. I'm using natural language, mostly English, and the code agent has direct access to Q's image, and it can run arbitrary code and see the display. I call this approach Dan Ingalls in a box, because it really feels like you have Dan sitting beside you and he's doing all the Smalltalk magic, and you just there to observe it. And really, like, sometimes seeing the code agent inside the Smalltalk is really a spiritual experience. So why did I choose Qs? There is a faro and everything else. So I really like minimalism, so Qs was basically a easy choice. It is really clean system and there is no bloat. In Faro there is like thousands and thousands of things to worry about. Qs is small, I like that. Vector engine is really interesting part, and Morphic 3 is also part of it. We'll get to it later. Packages are nice, and they solve really large problem that Smalltalk had, so that's good. Also, reproducible images are underappreciated technical advantages. So I really see Qs as a fertile ground waiting for the right seeds, and I think Blueprint might be one of those seeds. So let's see. Okay, so what is Blueprint? As you can see, there is a background, blueprinty, but that's not everything. We have new window chrome that is basically squircles, not just rounded rectangles, but really smooth corners. Everywhere, yeah, you can drag things around, normally resize as you are used to. Nothing new there. But I was trying to make it a bit pretty, because I thought the base theme of Qs was a bit way too minimalistic and brutalist. So there is dock. It's basically the old taskbar, but a bit reimagined. We'll get to it later also. And also there is new menus, like you can see that, for example, you can go like directly to the sub menu. You don't have to go like this and so on. So small things that compound to something bigger. One thing I was trying to make was use of symbols or icons. So I made this thing. It basically loads TTF font that has icons, and just displays them. There's like 5,000 icons. This is all virtualized scrolling, so not everything, only things you see are actually there, because having like 5,000 more would be probably a kill. You can change the size, so it's pretty responsive. You can also search for stuff and so on. So yes, when I'm here, I'm going to use this air balloon symbol morph. I can just drag stuff out easily. And since we have these morphs, we can turn on the new halo. It's triggered as normally, command click, but it matches the overall theme of the blueprint, so I think it's more fitting than the old one. You can drag stuff around, you can resize, but this morph doesn't. We can see it here. You can resize easily. Here you can see the dimensions of the window or the morph. You can scale just by dragging, or you can resize by dragging, and it will do aspect ratio resize. When you hold shift, it snaps in increments, and you can also use this to resize, and holding shift will do the mirrored version. And also you can rotate windows if you want, and also holding shift will snap to predefined stuff. So yes, there are symbols. You can scale and so on. Yes, and that brings me to another thing. The much larger theme is window management. So basically what we can do usually is full screen a window, put it back. We can collapse the window and it goes with animation into the dock, and it just sits there and waiting for you to do stuff if you don't need it. You can also minimize morphs or collapse morphs. It's pretty handy. For example, this clock that's been running is basically just a normal morph that can be put in a dock, and it can be useful there. It doesn't have to be on the desktop. Yeah, so there is dock, so let's look at it. We can change the size to see. We can also reposition it. For example, if you like it on the left or right or top, bottom, whatever you like, everything still works, like the animations are still there. But I like it on the bottom. So let's see what we have here. These are, we can get rid of this, we don't need this. Up. We have these window groups. It's basically like whenever you are working on something. For example, I'm here like demonstrating symbols, but I need to do something else. I just click on this empty space and I can show you some other stuff, and then I can easily switch between these window groups. So it's pretty handy. We don't need this. So going back here, we don't need this also. So those are window groups. And one other thing is, for example, you've probably seen this many times before. You probably don't know like what windows you have on your desktop. Like you have stacked windows and you can see anything. So when you click the active window group, you basically go into this overview mode. You probably know it from other operating systems, and you can just pick whichever window you need. It also works when you are here and you introduce another window. It automatically adapts, so there is no like bugs or something. So that's basically the demo. There are maybe other small things that are not really visible, or I haven't shown you. This demo was meant purely as introduction to this whole blueprint thing I'm doing. I had this learning for these past 2 weeks, and I saw some stuff in queues that I didn't like, or I see as limitation or opportunity. Also, maybe some bugs. First was that uh, the dash is flipped with M dash. Uh, I don't know why. Uh, this should be the long one, and this should be the short one. So I don't know why it's flipped, but okay. Some bigger things. There are no features for TTF fonts. These features. So basically, we have no emojis. That's sad. Um, Also, there is only TTF, no OTF. Not a big deal, but maybe it would be useful. I don't know. Also, there is no font substitutions. For example, when I have some font that is missing a glyph, but another has it, it won't get rendered at all. So that's a bit sad. Few things with vector engine. It really feels like it's from the 90s. Like all the visual glitches reminded me of Windows 98 and other ones because they are working through damaged regions and so on. So it's kind of like funny, but at the same time, it's nice to see this kind of old technology used today, or not old technology, but old approach. It's CPU only. That's very limiting. Like some animations are like extremely slow. Not this one, but for example, Maximize is basically like slideshow. So I see maybe some GPU backend for vector engine would be needed. What else? Rasterizer output is not as sharp as Skia or Figma, for example. Um, this feels like an inherent limitation of vector engine, how it's doing the pre-filtering stuff. I don't know if something can be done about it, but sometimes it's very visible, sometimes not. But overall, the quality is very good, but it's not sharp. Since there are no gradients, the things you can do is very limited. You can basically just do fills and strokes. That's not enough. Blend modes would be very helpful. Also, there are no shadows, inner shadows, outer shadows, or blur. That would be very helpful. For example, having shadow on the windows. There is technique that you can do shadows and blur purely in vector space. It's called vector feathering. Maybe it's going to be interesting for some of you. So yeah, I was mentioning that I saw a lot of visual glitches and subtle rendering bugs. It was basically almost every time due to the fact that I was painting outside of the frame or not using clipping properly and so on. Properly aligning things in the vector engine is really painful. Like, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but the subpixels, I'm always fighting subpixels. I don't know why, but I feel like it shouldn't be that hard. And major pain point I saw is basically physical pixels versus logical pixels. Every time I'm drawing something or using some pixel size, I always have to use scaling by host, OS, scaling factor, or what's the name? I don't know. That's really like, that should be in Morphic, like native. So that's basically vector engine. The packages, I didn't have time to really like go into them, but when I was listing some packages on the website, a lot of were gone, like deleted from the internet. Also, I felt that essential packages are not in a base image. For example, when you download Q's, start it, and want to do like productive stuff, like you want a simple application with buttons and lists and so on, you can do that. I didn't even know there is this like UI components package, so I think that should be in the base image. And system browser and every other apps should use the UI components. About the source code of this Blueprint package, I'm not releasing it yet. I don't feel like the quality is there. I'm still learning the idioms of Morphic, Qs, Smalltalks, and so on, so I don't feel confident enough to put it out there yet. But I'm continuing polishing it, and I have a plan for June, and I want to basically aim for core desktop experience that is like really pleasant to use for everyday stuff. For example, in Dock, I want to reorder these window groups or these minimized windows. Also, locking would be nice. For example, that you can lock clock here and it would be always there even if you restored all windows or something like that. Also, locking on the desktop would be nice. I would like to do easily move windows between groups. So basically I can grab this window and move it to another desktop easily. Currently I have to minimize it, go to the new and restore it. This is like too slow. I would like to use symbols everywhere. These icons like are old 16 by 16 or 14 by 14, I don't know. They are old pixelated. I would like to use some of these for the thing. We'll see how it goes. Regarding dogfooding is system browser for dummies, basically for me, because a current one, like I get why it is like this, but I feel for many people it's very alienating, very like not understandable. It can be improved, so I have some ideas, but we'll see. It's going to take a while. Yes, so another thing I would like to do is Markdown text editor, because current like this text editor is a really basic one, and it does have save, but it doesn't have open, which I was like surprised why. So yes, I would like a text editor that supports Markdown, and also like polish. A lot of features are not like where I would like them to be. I will try to make them as best as possible. So we covered what have been done in May and what are plans for June. I will do a same video basically in higher quality and scripted in the future at the end of the June. So see you there. Thank you.